broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, Judy May Murphy here. I'm just dropping in pretty much on spec. I thought about this about half an hour ago, and it just occurred to me that there are so many people whose lives have gotten a little bit dull, who are complaining that they aren't looking forward to anything, who are saying that they are just envisaging getting themselves out of messes that have piled up over the last few months or the last year and a half. And for a lot of people, the vision and the spark and the dynamic way that they were living their life has kind of faded. So we're going to get that back on track. Yes, in 20 minutes, half an hour, that's my aim for today, is to make sure that we can get you so crazy in love with your life again. For those of you who don't know me, I am a coach and motivational speaker. I've been doing this for 20 years at the highest levels. I coach a lot of really kind of A-lister clients and a lot of top-line speakers that you would know of. But also I coach people wherever they're at. So some people come to me and they're like, I just don't even know. I've never been coached before. So I am doing this all day, every day, and this is just what I adore. I'm doing other stuff as well. I travel a lot. I write a lot. I have got a lot of books out there in the world. But just as a little introduction for those of you who haven't met me before, hello, welcome. For those of you who know me well, or because I haven't been on those big stages for a little while because of the pandemic, this is probably a hello again. So what is it that we're looking at today? We're looking at how you can have a deeply rich summer. Because a thing that you probably aren't thinking about, and maybe you are, maybe you just need reminding, we all do, is that this is your due season. That you don't have to just hang on by your fingertips right now, and then later on stuff is going to get good. Stuff can get good today. Stuff can get good right now, starting with just your energy and how you're feeling, and say, you know what? What am I waiting for? I'm living the kind of life that 100 years ago people would have prayed to be able to have: indoor lighting, indoor plumbing, safety from hunger, the ability to get access to any information that you want at the touch of a button. Like all those things that we have, sometimes we can forget just how blessed we are. Sometimes we can forget that our lives are already extraordinary. And that can make us feel unsupported. And when we feel unsupported, we don't feel safe moving forward. So just getting that feeling of support, some people like to call that gratitude. I think gratitude, though, for some people, that makes it feel like you're supposed to feel overly grateful for crumbs. It's not that at all. It's just kind of like, yeah, you know what? My heart's beating, that's supporting me. The floor underneath my feet, that's supporting me. Now let's move on to the more complex things that are supporting me. Right? The access that I have to people, the tribe that I have, that's my support. The information that I have, the opportunities that I have, all this is support. And when we tap back into that, we can start to get excited about, hey, there's all this stuff readily available for me to experience. So that's what I want you to get today, is that it's not going to be about just plowing through and over-earning and waiting, right? But a lot of us feel like we've been in the weight room for a very, very long time. So this is your due season. This is the summer that can be pleasurable and fruitful, a really, really deeply rich summer. So the first question I have for you is, do you have a vision ahead of you and not just goals? So maybe you're saying, you know what, I'm going to get whatever it is for you, the roof of the summer house done this summer, or I'm going to declutter my apartment, or I'm going to, whatever it is for you. Is it just a goal? Or can you actually see yourself living an extraordinary life where you're doing what you really want to do? I'm super excited because I've already started to put my next tour in place, where I'm going to be going to St. Petersburg in Russia. I'm going to, where else have we got booked in? We've got New York and DC coming up in October. We've got Paris coming up. We've got London and Dublin. So it's exciting for me because I can see it. I'm visualizing, what am I going to be wearing? What are the stages going to be like? Am I going to be doing TV or radio when I drop into town in each of these places? So that's what I want for you, is an actual vision rather than a to-do list. And how do you know it's a vision? You can see it. You can see yourself there. You can just look out through your own eyes and be there ahead of time. Excuse me. Now, why is that important? Why is that important that you can visualize it? Because that's what makes your brain believe it, and that's what gives you the ability to take action. There's this really cool drug in your brain and affects the rest of your body called dopamine. And what dopamine does is it affects the part of your brain called the motor cortex, which tells you to move forward, to take the physical action. But if that's not engaged, if you don't have enough dopamine, they call dopamine as well the molecule of, I call it the miracle of more. The molecule of more is what they call it. And it really is about, what else is there? It's kind of like the future envisaging kind of drug that's already in you. And for a lot of people, that's gone flat. Why has that gone flat? Well, it's because we've been more going toward other really cool drugs that are in our systems, naturally. Things like the here and now type drugs, things like serotonin, which is about, how do I feel right now in this moment? Am I content? Am I safe? Does this feel good? So because we've been very focused on that, because a lot of us have been at home and we've been kind of grounding and we've been looking after ourselves, that maybe the volume on the dopamine has been turned down. And we can just turn that up simply by saying, you know what, this would be a cool thing. You can start with something small. You can start with, this outfit. I'm going to do whatever I can to get this outfit into my life. This suit of clothes or this dress, this whatever it is, that's going to make me feel so amazing. And that then is the outfit that's going to take me on the rest of my adventures. So simple. And it's a start. But very often we try to override the stuff that's really important. We try to override the things that really work and instead just get on with pushing ourselves in this very, very willful way. So why is it that, we got into this situation? It's because, we're human. And our brain is believing us. Our brain is believing when we were tripped up by disappointment, by frustrations, by lag times, and, situations where there were delays, and the delays have been around for so long that they start to feel like denials, then our brain starts to extrapolate wrong information from that. And it says, hey, this is how it's been for a while. This is how life is. You know what? It's just not true. Because we're not purely animals. There's a lot of us that's animal, but we're not purely animals. We can also override a lot of the messages and say, thanks, brain. Thanks for keeping me safe. Thanks for doing what you think is the best thing. And I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing an override. I'm going to be actually making things different. I can pick up the phone. I can ask people what's available. I can let people know about me. I can physically change my environment. I can go and move my body. I can put even more nutritious foods into my body. So the fact that we can do all these things, that we're not just reactive, but we've got that little space that Viktor Frankl talked about, where in between a stimulus and a response, our response, we have that space. Are you using that space? What is this? What is the stimulus? What is the message that you're getting right now? Is the message that you're getting that's stimulating you in some way, life is very difficult, right? That's a message that's being bombarded at a lot of people. And in that space, are you then just kind of going, oh, it feels too awful, let me go and watch a movie? Or, oh, it feels too awful, let me get rid of a layer of anxiety by complaining. No, we have a choice in that space where we can say, let me do something different here. So what is that difference that you would like to have happen? And perhaps it's just that you're saying to yourself, I've tried this and it's impossible. There's always a way. One of my favorite little sayings is, I'll find a way, I'll make a way. I just do that all the time. If I'm feeling like something is a little bit sticky, like, I need a translator to help me with a certain negotiation, or, somebody's not really understanding the way that something goes, then I'll just say, right, I'll find a way, I'll make a way. I'll find a way, I'll make a way. Or if an editor, doesn't get why I've gone in a certain direction with a book, then it's like, I'll find a way, I'll make a way. So this is what we're able to do. But when we slip into what's called learned helplessness, we can forget that. Because the learned helplessness is that the learned part of it is the fact that we have taken the message from the experiences that we are somehow helpless. Instead, we got to switch that around and get a different message from it. And that is, I have learned. What have I learned here? What will I not do again? What will I do differently? What might have just been bad luck? What might have just been circumstance? And instead, I'm making it mean that I'm not good enough, or people don't want me, or whatever funky little meaning you're making up around it. We all do it. All right, so my next question for you is, what is the thing that would make the biggest difference? That if you were able to transform that thing, everything else would kind of click into place. Is it your physical body? Is your physical body in a shape where you lack energy, so you can't make other cool stuff like career stuff, money stuff, adventure stuff happen? Love stuff, you're not able to, run around with the kids the way that you would like, or you don't feel confident going out on dates. So is it that radically changing your body and making your body ridiculously awesome, is that the thing that's going to make the biggest difference? Or is it that in fact, you know what, let's chunk it this way. Let's look at, is it something that you want to stop? So is it, if you stopped a particular, let's call it a soft addiction. So an addiction, just something that you you crave. You don't feel good until you make that thing happen, and it starts to have increasingly detrimental effects on your life. Let's just have that as a loose definition of an addiction. So a soft addiction might be something like gambling, and you're like, oh, it's only, a tenner a night, and I got so close last week. Or, we're really good at justifying our soft addictions. Or perhaps for you, it's something like drinking a glass of wine, or, a couple of bottles of wine on the weekend, and you can justify it. That's the thing. That's the kind of the danger point of soft addictions is you can look at the rest of society, you can look at the rest of culture, and you can say it's not that unusual. Just because it's something that a lot of people do doesn't mean that it's a thing that is best for your life. So let's look at that. Let's actually take that in hand. So maybe the thing that will make the biggest difference for you, will be stopping that addiction, transforming it into something else. And it could be something like showing up timidly, showing up apologetically, afraid to say what you want to say, putting off saying what you want to say, not platforming yourself. That's another addiction, the addiction to the safety of not being seen. Is it, instead, is it something that you've been dreaming about forever but haven't started yet? So will that make the biggest difference? You know what? I really want to get that book done. I really want to get that script written. I really want to build that house. I really want to get into that relationship. I really want to get out of that relationship. What is the thing that you've been thinking for a long time? If this was in place, my life would be so much better, but you haven't started it yet. Maybe because you're not clear on what the steps are. Maybe because you are clear on what the steps are and it just frightens the bejesus out of you. Maybe because you feel like you're not up to it. Maybe because you feel like the people around you won't be able to cope with it. So we've got lots of different reasons that we don't start with something. So perhaps it's that. Perhaps it's actually committing and saying, right, let me dig deep. Let me actually get this thing started. Or perhaps a third thing that it might be that would make the biggest difference is, and this is probably the most likely, is that it's something that you've been dabbling with or dabbling in at a greater or lesser intensity over the past few months or years, but you haven't reached that tipping point, as Malcolm Gladwell would put it, that you haven't reached that point where it's kind of gotten its own momentum, where you can now just, show up with it, and things are happening and people are calling you, and there's people waiting for things, and there's, maybe there's a marketing plan that's rolled out, or, whatever it is, that you don't have to keep trying to get it moving, that it's already moving, and it's your job now to just bring that over the finish line and celebrate like crazy, right? So perhaps that's what it is for you. So just identify what is that one biggest thing that will make the difference, and which category is it in? Is it in the category of something that you need to stop, that you need to exchange for something else? By the way, we never just stop something. We always put something better in its place. So rather than, stopping eating donuts, for example, instead you get amazingly good at putting together fruit salads or smoothies or great vegetable dishes, and you become addicted to those instead. So we never try to just take stuff away, because we all have that inner child that screams like crazy. So, it might be uncomfortable for a few days, but you've got this new thing that you're moving into. Perhaps for you, it's moving away from movies and just having movie night that's on Saturday night, and instead getting back into a reading habit during the week. Whatever that is for you, you know what's best for you. You're the expert on you. All right, next thing then is, how can you kind of get things going in terms of your brain? Because our brains tend to see things in the same way over and over again. So if you're used to thinking about a project or an idea or your identity in a certain way, it takes a lot more influx of ideas, a lot more inspiration, a lot more motivation than we might think in order to start us and allow us to continue to behave in different ways. So, what do you need? Information? Do you need coaching? Do you need regular motivational seminars? Do you need to put a team around it? Do you need to be reading different books? Do you need to, we all do this. We underestimate the amount that we have to fill the well before we can start drawing from it. And I really admire people who are big time going for it. And a thing I love about my clients is how quickly they cycle through stuff, how quickly stuff gets done, particularly the people who've been with me for a few years, and they say, yeah, you know what, I've had this idea. I'm going to, buy this place, or I'm going to reach out to this organization, or I'm going to be on this show, or I'm going to, and they now have just the habit of starting it immediately, gathering what they need, putting it in order, putting the first few strategies and tactics in order, getting their to-do list, if you like, in place for the day, working that list, feeling good while they're doing it. It sounds so simple saying it, but we all know what it's like to have a day that's not that. We all know what it's like to have a day where we're kind of like effortlessly grinding from one thing and, oh, am I doing this? And that starts to feel hard, and we switch to something else. And that's usually because we haven't kind of flexed our brain enough. So you got to kind of flex your brain, you got to feed your brain. And there's all those different ways that you can do that. So have you got a plan that you're excited about, and are you working that plan? Right? And remember that the plan has to be based off of vision, because if it's just digital, if it's just like a list and you're not emotionally engaged with it, it's going to remain static. And life's a moving thing. We're constantly moving forward, but how are you moving forward? Are you unconsciously downgrading your plan every time it gets a bit tricky? Are you sort of self-protecting and doing less rather than saying, okay, come on, let's just give this even more energy. Let's give this socks. Let's make this happen. If you find yourself using phrases like, well, after the summer, or, well, people are away right now, or, well, because of the pandemic. And I realized that, yes, there are really practical things that are happening and not happening because of all those different reasons. However, you need to be absolutely rock solid that no circumstance outside of you is going to get in the way of your dream. Just get that kind of intensity on. You've got one life, and I want you to be concerned. Yeah, I want you to be concerned right now about one day running out of time, not to be freaked out, but to have a sense of urgency so that you can be moving forward. If we've got too much stress in our lives, we feel terrible, but also if you've got too little of the good kind of stress, the kind of stress that's just tapping on our shoulders going, hey, come on, it's time for this. And a lot of people just felt overwhelmed, and so they tried to completely get rid of any kind of stress or any kind of difficulty. But you want difficulty. You just want better kinds of difficulty. So the kinds of difficulties I have right now are, will I get a late night plane to Russia, or will I, go a day early and go in the morning? And then, that's a quality problem. We want quality problems this summer, but we've got to get in the game in order to create those quality problems, right? So one thing that's weighing quite heavy on a lot of people is they're just tired. If you're just tired right now, I'm sending you the biggest hug. I know. It just feels like way too much. But remember, feelings are not facts. And the past is proof of nothing other than it being a record of what happened already. But we extrapolate from that. Our brain tries to protect us by saying that what happened already is somehow a clue or proof as to what will happen in the future. No, 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 no. This is what we need to do. We need to start to reapproach our lives as if this was the first time, as if this is the first time you're falling in love, the first time you're going for a deal, the first time you're making money, the first time that you're investing, with all those lessons on board. You know, a lot of you have a lot of years of experience, and you've started to say things like, well, you know what? I used to want all these crazy big things, but now I'm satisfied. Are you a little bit too satisfied? And is that then making you long-term dissatisfied? Or do you feel proud? Do you feel absolutely proud of your life? Another thing that is really useful to do is just to think about dreaming beyond the dream. Don't just think about, what is it that you want next? And if I get there, I'll be okay. But say to yourself, you know what? Once I get this done, so once I pay the house off, once I pay the mortgage off, or once I pay the car off, or once I get a car, or once I get my driving license, no matter what level you're at, right? What then? What will that enable? So once I've got my first book on the shelf, what will that do? Oh, it'll enable me to get on these TV shows. Oh, that will enable me to speak in front of these audiences. What is it that you want? Right? When I meet the love of my life, I'll be just so on fire because I'll be doing it for us, and I always do much better, when I'm in partnership with someone, and I'll be, I'll hold myself to a higher standard, whatever it is for you. What will be made possible by you stepping into that vision, getting to that next level of your dream? And how fun would it be to just go crazy all over it? I mean, who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love to say, you know what? Let's just go crazy all over this. Whether that is, let's just make a great big buffet. Like, we love those kind of things. Most of us do. A lot of people say, we're having a barbecue, and, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. Think about your summer as like a great big barbecue or buffet, where you can just cook up all kinds of extraordinary things for yourself to enjoy. That you can really design your life, not just design your Saturday evening, not just design your vacation. Design your life. Look at what feels impossible right now, what feels absolutely impossible, and if I did it, that would be insane. Insane. That would just be crazy. Like, no one would believe it. My brain doesn't even believe it yet. And that's what I specialize in, is I specialize in making sure that people get to that place. I get phone calls. I remember one phone call I got last week, and someone said, oh my gosh, I remember, years ago when we were first talking about this, and now it's my actual life. That's the whole point, isn't to comfort yourself. Your dream isn't some little teddy bear that you hold under your arm to sort of say, well, I could have if and maybe one day. No. Your dream is something that you live. Your dream is something that, it's a way that you show up daily while everything is coming into place. And that's what I believe is meant by attracting your life to you. Not just wishing, not just hoping, but being active, being magnetic, being just so in love with your life that everybody is so in love with you. A lot of people are looking for someone to follow right now. And why not have people working on your dream? Why not enlarge your tribe? Why not get around people who are even more excited and even more making things happen than you are? So that's just what I wanted to do today. Great, we've kept it under half an hour. Just wanted to invite you to a better version of you. And a summer is a really, really good time to make that happen, because it feels like a season. We can kind of understand it. We can grasp that. So wishing you the most amazing season. Remember that your glory days are ahead of you, and you've got this. And I'll talk to you very, very soon, I hope.